samsaradava nalalita loka dharnaya karuna kana kana tvam
samsaradava nalalita loka dharnaya karunya gana gana tvam
praptasya karana gunarnavasya vande guru si charanarvindam
praptasya karana gunanavasya vande guru sri charanarvindam
mahaprabhu kirtanritya gita vaditra madhyam manasorasena
Mahaprabhu Kirtanritya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Madhuratena
romanchakampa shutaranga bhajo vande guru si charanarvindam
Romance Kampa Suduranga Bhajo Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Sirikrahara dhananityanana Shingara tamman tiramarjanado Yutasya bhaktam chanindyadopi Vande guru si charanarvindam
Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Chaturvidhasi bhagavat prasada sadhana tirtha haribhakta sangha Kritva triptim padatha sadaiva Vande guru si charanarvindam
Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Siradhika madhavayorapara madhurya lila gunarupa namna
Radhika Madhayorapara Madhurya Leela Gururupa Nama
Siradhika madhavayorapara madhurya lila gunarupa namna
Radhika Madhayorapara Madhurya Leela Gururupa Nama
Pratishana sadhanalolupasya Vande guru si charanarvindam
Prakritana Swadhanurupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Nikunja yuno radhikeri pitai Yayari te yukte rabhisaniya Tatrati daksha tivallabhasya Vande guru si charanarvindam
Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Sashatharitena samasta shate Uttasthatha bhaviteva sadhi Kintu prabhoya piyeva tasya Vande guru si charanarvindam
Kintu Prabhuya Priyavata
Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado Yasya prasada nakati kutopi
Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado Yasya prasada nagati kutopi
Dhyayam suvam tasya yashasvi sandhyam Vande guru shi charanarvindam Vande guru shi charanarvindam Vande guru shi charanarvindam
Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine
Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nilamada Radha Nilamada Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Nilamada Radha Nilamada Shri Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jai Vishnu Pada Brahmam Sapajaka Acharya Stota Shata Shishmatis Divine Grace Aparachana Vrinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBTBI Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pada Brahmam Sapajaka Acharya Stota Shata Shishmatis Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premi se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Prashottama Chetar Jagnapuri Dham Ki Jai Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadayine Hiranyakashi Purvashaha Chilatankanakalaye Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yeto yeto yami tato Narasimha Bahir Narasimho Hrudaye Narasimho नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरेणकाम् अद्भुतसिंगाम् दालिता हिरण्यकशिपुतनुभृङ्गाम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय भक्ता प्रहलाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल नरसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की श्रील प्रभुपाद की वृंदाय तुलसी
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी 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 ये तुम्हार शरण लो तारा वांछ पूर्ण हो ये तुम्हार शरण लो तारा वांछ पूर्ण हो कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास नयने हेरिबो सदा युगल रूपरासी नयने सदा युगल रूपरासी हे निवेदन धारो सखीरनुगत करो हे निवेदन धारो सखीरनुगत करो सेवाधिकार दिए करो निज दासी दीना कृष्ण दासे को ये न मोरा हो दीना कृष्ण दासे को ये न मोरा हो श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदाए न भासी श्री राधा गोविंद सदाए न भासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदाए न भासी श्री सदाए न बासी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय तुलसी महारानी 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 जय जय वृंदा देवी 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
Oh, Tulasi, beloved of Krishna, I bow down before you again and again. My delight is within the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wished fulfilled. Please have mercy upon him and make him a resident of Vrindavan. My delight also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shri Vrindavan and Dham. Thus within my vision I shall always behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow a careful dance of the Virgin. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 fancies in the method chant holy name should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees or dedicate his life for propagating holy name the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods allow Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuing the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of the holy name the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna with auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Vedas fruity activities, Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct faces present about the glorious holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances on all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Jeto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Pudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamita Sadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etatishi Tava Kripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Disham Iha Janina Nurakaha Trinatapi Sunijena Tarorhapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi Na Dhanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishvare Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tavai Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Ham Vishame Bhavam Puda Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Thuri Satisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galata Shrutaraya Vadanam Gadgata Rudaya Gira Pulaka Nichitam Vapurukada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshuksha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashrisha Va Padaratam Pinnashtumam Atarshanam Marmahatam Karotuva Yatha Tathava Vidatatu Lampato Matprana Natastu Se Eva Naparaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all that does accumulate for years and extinguishes fire conditional life, repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is prime benediction of humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone grant all benediction to human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, have vested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out kindness enables us to easily approach you by holy names. But I am so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. Only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Sahamarnanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow I fall in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of Adam's lotus feet. O my Lord, when my eyes bedeck with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name, when my voice choke up, when the hairs of my body stand end to recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling of separation, I'm causing a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace. All makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Aarti prayers ki jai. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने। श्रीवर्षपाणिवि देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्णसम्बन्धविज्ञानदायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमाद्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिद श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्तिविग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगविरुद्धाभसिद्धान्तद्वन्द्वहारिणे। नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विफलम्बरसम्बोधे पादम्बुजयते नमः। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते। गौराविर्भावभूमिस्त्वं निर्दिष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवसार्वभौम श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमपदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरतिष्ठे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। जयतां श्रोतोर्भङ्गो मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्भोजो राधा मदनमोहनो दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमाद श्रीमद्रानागार सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठारिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमन्रासरसारम्भि वंशीवततः खर्षं वेणुस्वनैर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्तुनः। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री मंगलाचरण प्रेयर्स की जय। श्री ब्रह्म संहिता की जय। ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिराद्य गोविंद सर्वकारण कारणम चिंतामणि परकर सत्मसुकल्पवृक्ष रक्षावृथेषु सुरभिरभिपालयन्तं लक्ष्मी सहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। वेणुकनन्तमरविन्ददलायताक्षं पार्हवतं समसितां बुधसुन्दरङ्गं कन्तर्पकोटिकमनीयविशेषशोभं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। आलोलचन्तकलसवनमारवंशी रानङ्गदं पनयकेलिकलाविलासं श्यामं त्रिभङ्गललितं यतप्रकाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। अङ्गानि यस्य सकलेन्द्रियवृत्तिमान्ति पश्यन्ति पान्ति कलयन्ति चिरं जगन्ति आनन्दचिन्मयसतुजलविग्रहस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। अद्वैतमच्युतमनादिमनन्तरूपम् आद्यं पुराणपुरुषं नवयौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभमदुर्लभम् आत्मभक्तो Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Pantastu Koti Shatavassara Sampragamyo Vayuratapi Manaso Muni Pangavanam Sopyasti Yapapada Simya Vichinta Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ekopya Sara Chayitum Jagatanta Kotim Ya Chakti Rasti Jagatanta Chayaya Dantaha Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujasta Teva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasana Yana Bhushaha Suktayama Eva Nigama Patitai Stuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ananda Chimmay Rasa Patibhavitapis Tape Evan Jarupa Tayakalapihi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Buddha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sateva Hitayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundam Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ramadi Murtishu Kalanyamena Tishtan Nanavatarama Karo Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Parama Pumam Yo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna, who is not Govinda, the Supreme Godhead, has internal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin and the prime cause of all causes.
Yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamasundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendent form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay. He is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis, who aspire after transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe. At one and the same time, such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men, who are imbued with devotion, sing the mantra suktas taught by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confidant Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in the heart of hearts with eye of devotion, tinged with the salve of love.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc. as is subject to portion. Sri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Bhagavad Gita 7.1 purport. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya sravana kirtanaha hridayanta hi stohi abhadrani vidunoti suhritsatam nasta prayesva abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tada rajastamo bhava kama lobhastayasya चेतयेते रनावेदं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थेश्चिद्यन्ते सर्वसमस्याः क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्टा एवात्मनीश्वरे. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity, and for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as the best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamsayam samagram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 1.2.17 to 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the signs of Krishna. Hare Krishna. We'll continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 22. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishihi Mrudu Tivram Tapo Dirgham Te Pate Lokha Bhavanao. Yatra, where Narayana, the personality of Godhead, Devaha, by incarnation, Naraha, human being, Cha, also Bhagavan, the Lord, Rishihi, great sage, Mrudu, amiable to everyone, Tivram, severe, Tapaha, penance, Dirgha, very long, Te Pate, performing, Loka Bhavanau, welfare of all living entities. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There in Badarika Ashrama, the personality of Godhead, in his incarnation as the sages of Nara and Narayana, has been undergoing great penance since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Badarika Ashrama in the Himalayas, the abode of the Narayana sages, is a great place of pilgrimage for the Hindus. Even up to the present, hundreds and thousands of pious Hindus go to pay respect to the incarnation of Godhead, Narayana. It appears that even 5,000 years ago, this holy place was being visited by such a holy being as Uddhava, and even at that time, the place was known to be very, very old. This particular pilgrimage site is very difficult to visit for ordinary men because of its difficult situation in the Himalayas, in a place which is covered by ice almost all year. A few months during the summer season, people can visit this place at great personal inconvenience. There are 4 dhamas or kingdoms of God which represent the planets of the spiritual sky, which consists of the Brahma Jyoti and the Vaikunthas. These are Badarikashrama, Rameshwara, Jagannatha Puri and Dwaraka. Faithful Hindus still visit all these holy places for perfection of spiritual realization, following in the footsteps of devotees like Uddhava. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 23. Sri Sukha Uvacha Iti Uddhavad Upakarnya Suhrudam Dussaham Vyadham Jnanena Samayat Kshatta Shokam Utpatitam Buddha. Sri Sukha Uvacha, Sri Sukha Goswami said, Iti, thus, Uddhavad, from Uddhava, Upakaranya, hearing, Suhrudam, of friends and relatives, Dussaham, unbearable, Vadam, annihilation, Jnanena, by transcendental knowledge, Asammayat, pacified himself, Shatta, Vidura, Sokam, bereavement, Utpatitam, arisen, Buddha, the learned. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing from Uddhava all about the annihilation of his friends and relatives, the learned Vidura pacified his overwhelming bereavement by dint of his transcendental knowledge. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura was informed that the result of the battle of Kurukshetra was the annihilation of his friends and relatives as well as the destruction of the Yadu dynasty and also the passing away of the Lord. All this hurled him into bereavement for the time being. But because he was highly advanced in transcendental knowledge, he was quite competent to pacify himself by enlightenment. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, due to our long association with bodily relationships, bereavement on account of the annihilation of friends and relatives is not at all astonishing. But one has to learn the art of subduing such bereavement with higher transcendental knowledge. The talks between Uddhava and Vidura on the topic of Krishna began at sunset. And Vidura was now further advanced in knowledge due to his association with Uddhava. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 24. Satam Mahabhagavatam Vrajantam Kauravarshabha Vishrabdham Bhad Abhyadatedham Mukhyam Krishna Parigrahe Saha Vidura Tam unto Uddhava Mahabhagavatam, the great devotee of the Lord, Vrajantam, while going, Kaurava Rishabha, the best amongst the Kauravas, Vishrambhat, out of confidence, Abhyadatta, submitted, Idam, this, Mukhyam, unto the chief, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Parigrahe, in devotional service to the Lord. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. While Uddhava, the chief and most confidential among the devotees of the Lord, was going away, Vidura, in affection and confidence, questioned him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura was much older than Uddhava. By family relationship, Uddhava was a temporary brother of Krishna's, while Vidura was as elderly as Krishna's father Vasudeva. But although junior by age, Uddhava was much advanced in the devotional service of the Lord, and therefore he is described herein as the chief amongst the devotees of the Lord. Vidura was confident about this, and thus he addressed Uddhava in that higher category. That is the way of courteous dealings between two devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 25. Vidura uvacha jnanam param swatma raha prakasham yadaha yogeshwara ishwaraste vaktum bhavanno rihati yadhi vishnor brutyasa brutyardak kritascharanti. Vidura uvacha. Vidura said, Jnanam, knowledge, Param, transcendental, Swa Atma, regarding the self, Raha, mystery, Prakasham, enlightening, Yat, that which, Aha, said, Yoga Ishvara, the master of the all mystics, Ishvara, the Lord, Te, unto you, Vaktum, to narrate, Bhavan, your good self, Naha, unto me, Arhati, deserve, Yat, for, High, reason of, Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu, Bruhtya, servants, Swabhrutya Artha Krita, for the interest of their servants. Charanti, do wander. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura said, O Uddhava, because the servants of Vishnu, the Lord, wander in the interest of serving others, it is quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord Himself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The servants of the Lord are actually the servants of society. They have no interest in human society other than to enlighten it in transcendental knowledge. They are interested in imparting knowledge of the relationship of the living being with the Supreme Lord. The activities in that transcendental relationship and the ultimate goal of human life. That is the real knowledge which can help society achieve the real aim of human welfare. Knowledge in the matter of the bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing, transformed into various branches of advancement of knowledge, is all temporary. A living being is not the material body, but an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and thus revival of his self-knowledge is essential. Without this knowledge, the human life is baffled. The servants of the Lord, Vishnu, are entrusted with this responsible work, so they wander over the earth and to all other planets in the universe. Thus, the knowledge which was received by Uddhava directly from the Lord deserves to be distributed in human society, especially to persons like Vidura who are highly advanced in the devotional service of the Lord. Real transcendental knowledge descends in the disciplic succession from the Lord to Uddhava, from Uddhava to Vidura, and so on. Such supreme transcendental knowledge is not possible to achieve by the process of imperfect speculation as performed by the so-called mundane wranglers. Vidura was anxious to know from Uddhava that confidential knowledge known as Paramam Sitim, in which the Lord is known by his transcendental past tense. Although Vidura was older than Uddhava, he was anxious to become a servant of Uddhava in the transcendental relationship. This formula of transcendental disciplic succession is taught by Lord Chaitanya also. Lord Chaitanya advises that one receive transcendental knowledge from anyone, whether a Brahmana or a Shudra, a householder or a sannyasi, provided that person is factually conversant with the science of Krishna. A person who knows the science of Krishna is factually a bona fide spiritual master.
Text 26, Canto 3, Chapter 4. Uddhava Vacha Ninite Tattva Samradhya Rishi Kausharavontike Sakshad Bhagavata Adishto Martya Lokam Jihasata. Uddhava Vacha, Uddhava said, Nanu, however, they of yourself, Tattva Samradhya, one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge, Rishi, learned scholar, Kausharavaha, and the son of Kusharu, Maitreya, Antike, staying nearby, Saksha, directly, Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead, Adishtaha, instructed, Martya Lokam, mortal world, Jihasata, while quitting. Translation. Sri Uddhava said, You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a great personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by so doing, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, piety, and blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person, but he was well versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else, but Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyatikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interests of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization.
श्रीशुकोवाच इति सः विदुरेण विश्वमूर्तिर्गुणकथया श्रीशुकोवाच इति सः विदुरेण विश्वमूर्तिर्गुणकथया सुदया प्लवितोरूप तापः क्षणमिव पुलिने yamasvasustam aupagavye tatogat.
Sri Sukha Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Itidas Saha, along with Viduraina Vidura, Vishwamurte of the universal person, Gunakataya, in the discourse of transcendental qualities, Sudaya, nectarian, Palavita Urutapa, overwhelmed by great affliction, Kshena movement, Iva, like that, Puline, on the bank of Ema Shwashutam, river Yamuna, Samusitaha, passed on, Aupagavi, the son of Aupaga Uddhava, Nisam, the night, Tata, thereafter, Agat went away.
Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, O King, after thus discussing with Vidura in transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Purport. The word used here for Krishna is Vishwamurti. Both Uddhava and Vidura were in great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure. And the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such visualization of the transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is factual, absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as Vishwamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 28. Rajavacha Nidhanam Upagateshu Vrishnibhojeshva Adhirata Yutapa Yutepsu Mukhya Satukatam Avastita Uddhavo Yad Dharirapi Tadyaja Akritim Trayadisha. Raja Uvacha, the king inquired, Nidhanam, destruction, Upagateshu, being overtaken, Vrishni of the Vrishni dynasty, Bojeshu, the Boja dynasty, Adhiratha, great commander, Yutupa, commander-in-chief, Yutupeshu, amongst them, Mukhya, prominent, Sahat, he, too, only Katam, how, Avistitaha, remained, Uddhava, Yat, whereas, Harihi, the personality of Godhead, Api, also, Tadyaje, finished, Akritim, complete pastimes, Tri Adishaha, the Lord of the three worlds. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The king inquired at the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vrishni and Boja dynasties, who were the best of those great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. According to Sri Jiva Goswami, Nidhanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Nidhanam. Ni means the highest, and Dhanam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of transcendental opulence, his abode can therefore be called Nidhanam. Apart from the grammatical elucidation and real purpose, the real purpose of the word Nidhanam is to indicate that all the members of the Vrishni and Boja dynasty were direct associates of the Lord, and after the end of his pastimes, all the associates were dispatched to their respective positions in the transcendental abode. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura elucidates the meaning of Akritim as pastimes. A means complete, and Kritim means the transcendental pastimes. See, since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there is no question of his changing or quitting his body. To act in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world, the Lord seems to take his birth or leave his body, but the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanatha Chakravarti. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery. But to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. The word Upagateshu is also significant. All the members of Vrishni and Bhoja directly reach the abode of the Lord. Other devotees do not reach the abode of the Lord directly, but the pure associates of the Lord have no attraction for the opulence of any planets of the material world. Sometimes, due to inquisitiveness, devotees who are to be promoted to the abode of the Lord have some attraction for the opulence of the higher material planets above the earth, and thus they desire to see them while going up to the perfection. But the Vrishnis and Bhojas were directly dispatched because they had no attraction for material planets. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura also suggests that according to the Amarakosha dictionary, Akrita also means signal. Lord Krishna ordered Uddhava by signal to go to Badirakashrama after his departure, and Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the order more faithfully than going back to Godhead or the abode of the Lord. That was the cause of his remaining alone even after the departure of the Lord from the face of the earth.
Text 29, Canto 3, Chapter 4. Sri Sukha Vacha Brahma Sapapadesena Kalena Moga Vanchitaha Samhrutya Svakulam Pitam Takshan Deham Achintaya. Sri Sukha Vacha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Brahma Sapa, cursing by the Brahmanas, Apadeshena, on the plea by such a show, Kalena by the eternal time, Amoga unfailing, Vanchitaha, one who so desires, Samhritya, closing, Swakulam, own family, Spitam, excessively numerous, Takshan, after giving up, Deham, the universal form, Achintaya, thought to himself. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami replied, My dear king, the cursing of the Brahmanas was only a plea, but the actual fact was the supreme desire of the Lord. He wanted to disappear from the face of the earth after dispatching his excessively numerous family members. He thought to himself as follows. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In this verse, the word Takshan is very significant in relation to Lord Sri Krishna's leaving his body. Since he is the eternal form of existence, knowledge and bliss, his body and his self are identical. Therefore, how is it possible that he would leave his body and then disappear from the vision of the world? There is a great controversy amongst the non-devotees or Mayavadis about the mysterious disappearance of the Lord, and the doubts of those men with a poor fund of knowledge have been very elaborately cleared by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha. According to Brahma Samhita, the Lord has many forms. It is stated therein that the Lord has innumerable forms, and when he appears within the vision of the living entities, as Lord Krishna actually appeared, all such forms amalgamate with him. Besides all these infallible forms, he has his universal form, as manifested before Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Here in this verse, the word Spitam is also used, which indicates that he left his gigantic universal form called the Virat Rupa, not his primeval eternal form, because there is hardly any possibility of it changing his form of Satchidananda. This simple understanding is at once realized by the devotees of the Lord. But those who are non-devotees, who perform hardly any devotional service to the Lord, either do not understand this simple fact or purposely raise a controversy to defeat the eternity of the transcendental body of the Lord. This is due to the defect called the cheating propensity of the imperfect living entities. By practical experience also, it is seen up to the present day that the Lord's transcendental form is worshipped by devotees in different temples, and all the devotees of the Lord factually realize that the form of the deity in the temple is not different from the form of the Lord. This inconceivable performance of the internal potency of the Lord is described in Bhagavad Gita 7.25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrutaha. The Lord reserves a right of not being exposed to everyone. In the Padma Purana it is said, Atah Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyai. The name and form of the Lord cannot be perceived by the material senses, but when he appears within the vision of the mundane people, he assumes the form of the Virat Rupa. This is an additional material exhibition of form and is supported by the logic of a subject and its adjectives. In grammar, when an adjective is taken away from the subject it modifies, does not change. Similarly, when the Lord quits his Virat Rupa, his eternal form does not change, although there is no material difference between himself and any of his innumerable forms. In the fifth canto, it will be seen how the Lord is worshipped in different planets in his different forms, even now, and how he is worshipped in different temples of this earth also. Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura have very elaborately explained these incidents of the Lord's disappearance in their commentaries, quoting various authentic versions of Vedic literature. We purposely do not include them all here to avoid an increase in the volume of this book. The entire matter is explained in Bhagavad Gita as quoted above. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. He always keeps himself out of the vision of the non-devotees, who are devoid of love and devotion, and thus he puts them still further away from the Lord. The Lord appeared on the invitation of Brahma, who prayed before Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, and therefore when the Lord appeared, all the forms of Vishnu amalgamated with him, and when the mission was fulfilled, all of them disintegrated from him in the usual course.
Text 30. Ashmalyo lokad uparate mai gnanam madashrayam arhati uttava evada samprati atmavatam varaha. Do you have to sing it?
Asmar, from this universe, Loka, the earth, Uparate, having disappeared, Mai, of myself, Gnanam, knowledge, Mata Ashrayam, concerning myself, Arhati, deserves, Uddava, Eva, certainly, Adda, directly, Samprati, at the present moment, Atma Vittam, of the devotees, Varaha, foremost.
Translation. Now I shall leave the vision of this mundane world, and I see that Uddhava, the foremost of my devotees, is the only one who can be directly entrusted with knowledge about me. Purport. Gnanam madashrayam is significant in this word. Gnanam madashrayam is significant in this verse. Transcendental knowledge has three departmental divisions, namely knowledge of personal Brahman, knowledge of all-pervading Supersoul, and knowledge of the personality of Godhead. In knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Out of the three, transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead has special significance and is known as Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. This specific knowledge is realized by pure devotional service and no other means. Bhagavad Gita 18.55 confirms this. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan jasmita tattvataha. Only persons who engaged in devotional service can factually know the transcendental position of the Lord. Uddhava was considered to be the to be the best among all devotees of that time, and therefore he was directly instructed by the Lord's grace, so that people might take advantage of Uddhava's knowledge after the disappearance of the Lord from the vision of the world. This is one of the reasons why Uddhava was advised to go to Narayana, to the Narayana deity, no, to Badirikashrama, where the Lord is personally represented by the Narayana deity. Narayana deity. What's a Nara? One who is transcendently advanced can gain direct inspiration from the temple deity, and thus a devotee of the Lord always takes shelter of a recognized temple of the Lord. In order to make tangible advancement in transcendental knowledge by the grace of the Lord. Text 31.
Text 31. Nodavon vapi manyuno yad gunai nardita prabhu atamadvayunam lokam grahayan iha tistatau. Not Uddhava anu slightly api also mat, to myself nyuna inferior, yet because gunai by the modes of material nature, no nar ardita affected, Prabhu master, atah therefore, mat vayunam knowledge of me, the personality of Godhead, lokam the world, grahayan just to disseminate, iha in this world, tistatu may remain. Translation: Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The specific qualification for becoming the representative of the Lord is to be unaffected by the material modes of nature. The highest qualification of a person in the material world is to be a Brahmana. But since a Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, to be a Brahmana is not sufficient for becoming a representative of the Lord. One has to transcend the modes of goodness also and be situated in unalloyed goodness, unaffected by any of the qualities of material nature. This stage of transcendental qualification is called Suddha Sattva or Vasudeva, and in this stage the science of God can be realized. As the Lord is not affected by the modes of material nature, so a pure devotee of the Lord is also not affected by the modes of nature. That is the primary qualification for being one with the Lord. A person who is able to attain this transcendental qualification is called Jivan Mukta or liberated, even though he is apparently in material condition. This liberation is achieved by one who constantly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In Bhakti Rasamrata Sindhu it is stated, Ihayasya hare dasye karmana manasa gira nikila swapi avastashu jivan mukta sa uchyate. Anyone who, by his actions, minds, words, lives only for the transcendental loving service of the Lord is certainly a liberated soul, even though he may appear to be in condition of material existence. Uddhava was in such a transcendental position, and thus he was selected to be the factual representative of the Lord in his bodily absence from the vision of the Lord. Such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by material strength, intelligence, or even renunciation. Such a devotee of the Lord can withstand all onslaughts of material nature, and therefore he is known as Goswami. Only such Goswamis can penetrate the mysterious of the Lord's transcendental loving relationships.
Text 32. Evam Triloka Guru Gurunaya Sandishta Sabdayonina Yonina Badaryashram Mam Ashadya Harim Ije Samadina. Wait. Evam Trilok Guruna Sandishtaha Sabdayonina Badaryashramam Ashadya Hareme Ije Samadina.
Evam, thus Triloka, three worlds, Guruna, by the spiritual master, Sandishtaha, being perfectly taught, Shabda Yonina, by one who is the source of all Vedic knowledge, Badarayashramam, the pilgrimage site of Badarikashrama, Asadya, reaching Harim unto the Lord, Ije, satisfied, Samadhina, by trance.
Translation. Sukadeva Goswami informed the king that Uddhava, being thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage site of Badarikashrama and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna is factually the spiritual master of the three worlds, and he is the original source of all Vedic knowledge. And it is very difficult, however, to understand the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Even from the Vedas, his personal instructions are needed in order to understand the personality of Godhead as the Absolute Supreme Truth, the Supreme Absolute Truth. Bhagavad Gita is the evidence of this such transcendental knowledge and guest. No one cannot know the Supreme Lord unless one is graced by the Lord himself. Lord Krishna exhibited this specific mercy towards Arjuna and Uddhava while he was in the material world. Undoubtedly, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to encourage Arjuna to fight, and yet to complete the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructed Uddhava. The Lord wanted Uddhava to fulfill his mission and disseminate knowledge which he had not spoken even in Bhagavad Gita. Persons who are attached to the words of the Vedas may also know from this verse that the Lord is the source of all Vedic knowledge. One who is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by going through the pages of the Vedas may take shelter of one of the Lord's devotees, such as Uddhava. In order to advance further in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Brahma Samhita says that it is very difficult to understand the supreme absolute truth of I can just say the supreme absolute truth, right? The same thing. It is very difficult to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedas, but he is easily understood from a pure devotee like Uddhava. Taking mercy on the great sages who lived at Badarikashrama, the Lord authorized Uddhava to speak on his behalf. Unless one has such authorization, one cannot understand or preach the devotional service of the Lord. While present on this earth, the Lord executed many uncommon activities. One even traveling in space to bring down the Parijata from heaven and recovering the son of his teacher Sandipani Muni from the regions of the death. Uddhava was certainly informed of the conditions of life on other planets, and all the sages were anxious to know of them, just as we are anxious to know about the planets in space. Uddhava was particularly deputed to carry a message to Badarikashrama, not only to the sages of that place of pilgrimage, but also to the Narayana deities. such a message must have been more confidential than the Lord described in the pages of the Vedas. Than the knowledge described in the pages of the Vedas. The Lord is undoubtedly the source of all living. The Lord is undoubtedly the source of all knowledge, and the messages dispatched through Uddhava to Narayana and other sages were also part of the Vedic knowledge, but they were more confidential and could be sent or understood only through such a pure devotee as Uddhava. Since such confidential knowledge was known only to the Lord and Uddhava, it is said that Uddhava was as good as the Lord himself. Every living entity can, like Uddhava, also become a confidential messenger on the same level as the Lord. Such confidential knowledge is entrusted, provided he becomes confidential himself by dint of loving devotional service. Such confidential knowledge is entrusted, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, only to pure devotees like Uddhava and Arjuna, and one has to learn the mystery through them, and not otherwise. One cannot understand Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam without the help of such confidential devotees of the Lord. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, that confidential message must have concerned the mystery of his departure and the annihilation of his dynasty after the end of his appearance in the mundane world for 100 years. Everyone must have been very anxious to know about the mystery of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, and that message must have been explained by the Lord to Uddhava and dispatched to Badarekashrama for the information of Narayana and other pure devotees of the Lord.
Yes. Text 33. Canto 3, Chapter 4. Viduro api uddhava shrutva krishnasya paramatmanaha kridayo patta dehasya karmani shlagitani cha. Vidura api also Uddhavad, from the source of Uddhava. Shrutva, having heard. Krishnasya, of Lord Krishna. Paramatmanaha, of the super soul. Kridaya, for the sake of pastimes in the mortal world. Upatta, extraordinarily accepted. Dehasya, of the body. Karmani, transcendental activities. Slagitani, most glorious. Cha, also. Translation. Vidura also heard from Uddhava about the appearance and disappearance of Lord Krishna, the super soul in the mortal world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The subject matter of the appearance and disappearance of the super soul Lord Sri Krishna, is a mystery even for the great sages. The word Paramatmanaha is significant in this verse. An ordinary living being is generally called the Atma, but Lord Krishna is never an ordinary living being because he is Paramatma, the super soul. Yet his appearance as one of the human beings and his disappearance again from the mortal world are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. Such subject matters are certainly of increasing interest because the researchers have to search out the transcendental abode of the Lord, which he enters after finishing his pastimes in the mortal world. But even the great sages have no information that beyond the material sky is a spiritual sky where Sri Krishna eternally resides with his associates, although at the same time he exhibits his pastimes in the mortal world in all the universes one after another. This fact is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 5.3 verse 7. Goloka eva nivasati akilatma bhutaha. The Lord, by His inconceivable potency, resides in His eternal abode, Goloka. Yet, at the same time, as a supersoul, He is present everywhere, in both the spiritual and material skies, by His multi-varieties of manifestation. Therefore, His appearance and disappearance are simultaneously going on, and no one can say definitely which of them is the beginning and which is the end. His eternal pastimes have no beginning or end. One has to learn of them from the pure devotee only, and not waste valuable time in so called research work. 34.
It's 7:07. देहानियासं च तस्यैवं धीराणां धैर्यवर्धनम् अन्येषां दुष्करातरं पाशुन् विक्लवतामनम्.
Translation. The Lord's glorious acts and His acceptance of various transcendental Dehanyasam, entering the body, Cha also, Tasya, His, Evam also, Dhiranam, of great sages, Dhairya, perseverance, Vardhanam, increasing, Anyesam, for others, Dushkarataram, very difficult to ascertain, Pashunam, of the beasts, Viklava, disturbed, Atmanam, of such a mind.
The Lord's glorious action is acceptance of various transcendental forms of the performance of extraordinary pastimes in the mortal world are very difficult for anyone other than his devotees to understand. And for the beast, they are simply a mental disturbance. Purport. The transcendental forms and pastimes of the Lord, as described in Bhagavad Gita, are difficult subject matters for those who are not devotees to understand. The Lord never reveals Himself to persons like the Ajnanis and Yogis, and there are others who, because of their envying the Lord from the bottom of their hearts, are classified amongst the beasts. Sorry, Daddy. And for such envious beasts, the subject matter of the Lord's appearance and disappearance is simply a mental disturbance. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.15, the miscreants who are simply concerned with material enjoyment, who work very hard like beasts of burden, can hardly know the personality of Godhead at any stage due to Ashurika Bhava, or spirit of revolt against the Supreme Lord. The transcendental bodily expansions manifested by the Lord for His pastimes in the mortal world, and the appearance and disappearance of such transcendental expansions are difficult subject matters, and those who are not devotees are advised not to discuss the Lord's appearance and disappearance, lest they lest they commit further offenses at the Lord's feet of the Lord. The more they discuss of the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord in the Asuric spirit, the more they enter into the darkness region of hell. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 6.20, anyone who is against the transcendental loving service of the Lord is more or less a beastly creature, as confirmed in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Text 35. Atmanam cha kurushreshta krishnena manasikshitam dhyayan gate bhagavate Ruroda Prema Vihvalaha. Atmanam himself Cha also. Kuru Shrestha, O best among the Kurus. Krishnena by Krishna, Manasa by the mind. Ikshitam remembered. Dhyayan thus thinking of. Gate having gone. Bhagavate of the devotee. Ruroda cried loudly. Prema Vihvalaha, overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love. Translation: understanding that he was remembered by Lord Krishna while quitting this world, Vidura began to cry loudly, overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura was overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love when he understood that Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, thought of him at the last moment. Although he thought of himself as insignificant, he was remembered by the Lord by His causeless mercy. Sit up. Vidura accepted this as great favor, and thus he cried. This crying is the last word in the progressive path of devotional service. One who can cry for the Lord in love is certainly successful in the line of devotional service.
36. Kalindya Katibihi Siddha Ohabir Bharata Sabaha Prapadyata Swaha Saratam Yatra Mitra Suto Manihi.
The bank of the Yamuna. Katibihi, a few. Siddhe, being so past. Ahobi, days. Bharata Arshaba, O best of the Bharata dynasty. Prapadyata reached Swa Saritam, the celestial water of the Ganges, Yatra, where Mitra Sutaha, the son of Mitra, Muni, sage.
Translation: After passing a few days on the bank of the river Yamuna, Vidura, the self-realized soul, reached the bank of the Ganges, where the great sage Maitreya was situated. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, fourth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Vidura Approaches Maitreya. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Today we stopped at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 4, text 36. Tomorrow we will continue from the first verse of chapter 5. Hare Krishna. We will start Guru Puja.
Jaya Prabhu. Can you sing, Nana? My voice is not good. It's okay. Fast, fast, fast.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Padma Padma prasade bhai e baba toriya ajai Krishna prapti hoy jaha hare Guru mukha panna avagya jitete koriya agya Hare nangoni havane asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Jai Prasad Pure Sarva Ansha Jai Prasad Pure Sarva Asha चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से हृदय ज्ञान द्रोदे प्रकाशित प्रेमा भक्ति जा होते अविद्या विनाश जते Jahara Charita Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Jenara Bandhu Lokena Lokera Jivana Ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Pada Chaya E Bigas Gusul Tribhuvana Ye Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine पश्यतादिशतारिणे
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasatyadishatarini
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadharat Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Did you like how I sing today? Did you like how I sing today?
Yes.
Did you like how I sing?
The lotus feet of our spiritual master is the only way by which we can render pure devotion service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is a perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes. most mercy, the friend of the poor, and master of devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Jai.